All right, bear with me. Let me send out some messages. Kind of impromptu space, no real topic or anything, just chopping it up. The title is clickbait, obviously. Got a bit of a commute today, so wanted to at least yap while I drive. So let's see what happens. If no one comes up, I will just talk to myself like an insane person. But yeah, no real topics. I just honestly haven't done spaces in a bit. Been extremely busy, crashing out on the wagey. So I just kind of want to get back in the groove. And believe it or not, the wagey stuff is, or I'm sorry, the space stuff, it actually takes quite a bit of skill. All right, Cameron, give me 1 second. Let you up here. And maneuvering in the rural part of somewhere. 1 second, my guy. There you go. It takes a second. All right, Cameron. Just tell me a little bit about yourself and what you want to talk about.
Machinist, at work right now, living the lazy life. You know,
Hell yeah.
I was just gonna talk about how I forget. We talked a while ago. I told you I had an idea about making an app. That's been going
Oh yeah, that's
great.
right. Yeah.
Uh, I also I had a technical interview for not like software or anything like that, but I actually was able to utilize the same tool that I was using to make a calculator for that technical interview, and I did it in
Hmm.
like less than an hour, so that was awesome. But I just figured I'd hop on, see what's up. Nothing,
Nice, man.
nothing
Sounds like
specific, but
sounds like you're killing it.
yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, like I don't know, I talk to a lot of people and it pisses me off so much when people are like, I'm never downloading Chat GPT. I'm like, dude, go right ahead. Like, you're making it better for the rest of us. But if you put in like 50% effort, like it really doesn't even take that much to kind of get compound interest with this shit. Like, it's crazy.
No, 1,000%. And I hear that all the time too, right? And I think a lot of it just comes down to people, being a bit I guess it is a bit intimidating at first. Diogenes, I apologize, man. I think it wouldn't let me connect, or it wouldn't let you connect for some reason. Just rejoin if you can. I'll see what I can do. But I think a lot of people just they have a hesitancy. It's a little bit intimidating. But yeah, like once you get in, like you're just
Kind of lost you there. What happened?
all right. The space just crashed. So can you guys give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Okay. Yeah.
You're back now. Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that. I'm in the I don't know if it's the space or the area I'm at right now. It's super super rural right now, so we'll see.
Progressive web app instead of the native app. So
Uh
that's probably what was going on there.
and it's probably a combination of everything. How are you, man?
Things are good. I'm coming up on the last week of my 3-month paternity leave here. And so I have to go back to work. And I am not looking forward to it. I desperately want a new job. So we'll see. I'm going to kick that into gear again here. But, being in Alaska, there aren't very many jobs here. So it's been yeah, just continuing to look. I've got the golden handcuffs at the. It's just like but I don't know. That's what's going on with me.
Yeah. No, I feel you, and congrats on the kid, man. Yeah, it's I I have one of my team members who she was one of my best people, and she left after the maternity leave. Definitely feel you. Yeah, and I
Yep.
think I think a lot of people are in this situation, right? Like they're in a really good position currently, but going like making the next jump sometimes it's the devil, right? Like there is something to that. Second here.
He's doing great.
Give me 1 second.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good, you're good. All right,
I'm
sorry about
putting
that.
together a little
Daniel, give me
tour
one
page.
second.
Good afternoon, fellas.
Afternoon.
Hey, what's going on, man? How are you?
Dude, last night I was doing some work and I smelled something burning. And so I lit
What?
my candle, looked at my toaster, plugged all that shit out, and I looked outside and the air was smoky and I was like, that's kind of weird. I checked the air quality index. 0 was good. Normally it's around 15. It was around 63 for me in downtown Toronto. I'm like, that's weird. And I hear some fire trucks going by. I'm like, that's weird. Anyway, finish my work. I go to bed. I wake up. One of my friends is like, yo, my neighborhood like burned down, like 3 houses burned down, and it's like a kilometer away from me. And I was like, oh, okay, that explains the smoke in the air. But no casualties. Everything is fine. But yeah, that was crazy.
Oh yeah, that's glad you're safe. Yeah, man. It's actually we had a fire recently at one of my locations at a warehouse, and yeah, man, it's scary how fast like stuff can just instantly incinerate. It was crazy the amount of smoke. Like it's kind of unless you've seen it before, it's really kind of interesting how fast it just obliterates everything. It's crazy.
Yeah, I heard Versane, I think he was gonna join. He's complaining because he's tired and it's super hot. Right over here in Toronto, it's like because it was super hot, we're next to the lake, so it's like it's raining pretty heavily now. But all the all the weather is pretty nice. Like I went on a walk. How's tinyAgent going, by the way?
It's going good. It's going good. I think I have over like 1,000 downloads now for the pit package, and
Let's go.
the GitHub has like 50 stars now. So yeah,
Big
no,
dubs, big
it's
dubs.
going pretty good. I think a lot of people like don't understand what I'm trying to do with it. Um, and all like I mean, I don't gotta tell you about this, right? Like, but just for everyone else, like, really, I really want tinyAgent to be is just like singularly focused on tool calling and making the tools like very simple. And essentially, for me, it boils down to like having a function and passing that function to an LLM. And like, I think I don't know who it was, someone made a post recently that went a bit viral, like, basically saying, aren't AI agents just tool calling? And I was like, yeah, that's all it is.
Agent
Like,
loops and tool
that's,
calling.
yeah, that's all it is. Like, and that's all I want. I think like one of the big problems with LangChain is that they're trying to do everything at one time and they end up doing nothing well. Like I mean, it's just, as I was building out this library, documentation kept growing and growing. I was, man, like I need to make some choices here because if I don't, I'm gonna end up like LangChain. The reason why LangChain has the worst documentation, like I would say that I've seen ever in my entire career, is because they went so wide and they went in so many different directions that it's not really their fault. Like as they were making stuff, they just kept adding documentation. It's all out of date now. It's all out of order. It's almost too big now, and like now, in my opinion, should just restart the whole thing. But yeah, no, like it's going great, and I'm just focusing on the tool calling right now, and I'm making a TypeScript version because
Oh, let's
I
go.
love Python. Python's that's my language. Like I fucking love, like I live in Python, right? But yeah, there's obviously some speed sacrifices, and a lot of people don't like Python as well. So I got an initial version of TypeScript working, so I'll be putting that out kind of like as a second priority.
Yeah, that reminds me. So when I was using Chunker, which is the PDF processing library, you're familiar with them. For the others, it's basically any kind of document, XLS, anything like that. It takes that document, turns it into LLM ready RAG data in terms of JSON and Markdown and stuff like that. They didn't have a TypeScript client SDK. They just had a REST API. And so I literally made one and then I presented it to the founders and they were like, this is really cool. Hop on a call with us, and they were like, we'll pay you to be like a maintainer of this, but you're gonna have to like invest a lot more time into it in terms of testing it, feature parity, basically being like a part of the company. And I was like, I can't do that. I don't have the time for that right now. But when it comes to things like that, for those of you in the audience that love TypeScript and they wish that there was a TypeScript version of any tool that they're using, sometimes just creating that and presenting it to the founders, and like if you do it well and the abstractions are clean, you can kind of just make things happen like that. And yeah, like I know my Mirror is gonna have a TypeScript version soon, and William asked me to be a design partner for that. If any of you guys are like willing to like put in a little bit of work into making an experimental version of something you really want to exist in the world, you really don't have to wait on these founders and these teams, because you can kind of just do things yourself. So that's one thing I really like about this part of the industry.
That's crazy. I had a similar experience. I mean, I'm very software inept, but like I still created a tool that was very useful, and I saw a guy doing something similar, and reached out to him, showed him my tool, and he offered me a remote job, which I still haven't. I'm not really looking for that job, but if I don't get this job that I have a technical interview for tomorrow, I might think about it because it's definitely something I'm passionate about. But all I did was just put in some extra credit outside of work, and he was like, he wants me, you know what I mean, kind of thing. And I did
He
not
wants
expect
you.
that.
He
Yeah,
wants you, bro.
yeah, it was
And
so
isn't that
crazy.
crazy because of how people are struggling to get jobs in today's economy? And here you just did a few small things after work and you have a position lined up for you, and it gives you some leverage. Like that's quite interesting. You don't really hear that nowadays in the industry. It's all about, oh, Meta laid off 5,000 people. They laid off 3 million people, blah, blah, blah. And there's this guy, he put a little bit of hours in and he has a position ready for him if he wants to take it. Like it just kind of shows you how the world works nowadays. Things have changed.
No, a huge part of this job that I'm applying for now that kind of sold me was the fact that I could put on their software developer, even though, you know, I mean, I put quotation marks around that, but hey, I'm gonna say it for my resume.
I mean, where are you really coming from if you put software developer in quotations?
So I have like a manufacturing background. I'm a CNC machinist, but I develop software that takes the archaic format that they use and digitizes it. So I mean, I just when it comes to like the foundation, I have zero. Like I understand computing in like the very basic manner, but not like I've never had any teaching or career. Like it's all been like hobby. You know what I mean? So that's why I put
Yeah.
quotation marks around it. Because to me, it doesn't sound like, hey, you know, I have the right skills. But to them, I show them the product, and they're like, dude, this is legit.
I'm
So
only hearing one side of the conversation here, I think. Is that true for anybody else?
Can you hear me?
You, I can hear.
Okay.
I guess you can't hear me.
Yeah, the other guy was saying he has a background in manufacturing. He worked as a CNC milling guy. Very cool. And he built some software to digitize the archaic data formats that they use. And so he doesn't consider himself to be a true software developer, blah, blah, blah. But you know what, bro? Even the guys that went to school for this shit and like did this shit, they feel the same way. All that matters is that you deliver. Um, Nothing else really matters. So yeah, call yourself a developer. You built software, you tested it, hopefully. Um, Honestly, because you have a bit of a background in a different vertical, in manufacturing, and the fact that the cost of software has gone down by a lot, given the fact that you were able to create that, um, you might have a little bit of an edge over other people when it comes to creating vertical products for your specific industry of manufacturing, because you intimately understand the problems that you have, while others don't.
Now the company that I'm trying to get a job at, they're like the most advanced software slash CNC company that exists. So I'm really excited. I don't know if you ever heard of Hadrian.
I have not. I have not heard of Adrian.
They're CNC, but they're very heavy on their software because they don't require you to be like a expert machinist. They develop their talent really well. They hire people off the street, and then their software is so advanced that they don't need people with so much experience. So I'm really excited. I hope I can find a position there.
Yeah, that's crazy. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like that's pretty insane. How software kind of enables that. Um, Tuna, you've been in the industry for quite a while. You said that LangChain's documentation was the worst you've ever seen, which is crazy because you've been working in this industry for like what, 70 years? Like that's a bold statement to make. Worst documentation in history. It's quite a shame how bloated the framework has gotten, but I think that's just because they tried to make sense out of the chaos a little bit too early and they just picked the wrong abstractions. And it sounds like you wanted to avoid that mistake when it came to tinyAgent. which is why you went with tool calling as their specialty, because you don't want to do everything all at once, which I think that's a pretty smart move.
Yeah, no, and I've been in the industry for 100 years. Get it right, man. No, like, and I genuinely think that LangChain gets a little. I mean, it's become a meme now, right? Like people just like to dunk on them. And on one aspect, you can't like they can't get mad because like if you have millions of dollars, there's absolutely it's unacceptable for you to have that terrible documentation when you have millions of dollars and you're talking about other frameworks. Like it's just unacceptable, right? So they can't really be mad. At the same time, I think people like really have short-term memory because when the LLMs were just first coming out, when the APIs were available, there wasn't even any prompting engine, right? It was all like you were raw dogging it. And what they did is they came in and very roughly solved Jesus, something just popped there. I apologize. Not sure if you heard it. I was saying, yeah, so like they came at a very early time and they were just the first ones who had a solution, right? So that's what they went with, and that's they just kind of kept getting bloated and more bloated. So yeah, I think it's like a 50-50. And I think they could turn around, but they just really need to just like start from the ground up and just like hire someone to just that's all their job. Just fix documentation. Just talk to some developers, right? Because like if you were on X all day, you would think that LangChain doesn't exist in the industry, right? But I'll tell you, like the majority of my clients, especially
A lot
enterprise
of people
clients,
apparently
they
actually use it. Is that true?
yeah, they love it. They love LangChain. They not only use it, they love it, right? And it's like why? Because it's super easy, super simple to get set up. And yeah, they once you start getting a little bit out of the box and you start acting like some real workflows, then they're gonna have the issues. But LangChain is used. It's just that what you see on X is like all the cool kids dunking on it, but I think they could turn it around. They could actually do a pretty good job if they just invested some time and money into the documentation.
What do you think they did with the millions of dollars of investment? Like, if you were to look at their finances, where do you think that money would have gone? Because I'm curious. I've never led like a funded startup or anything like that. I've never had millions of dollars in my bank account yet. But where does that money even go?
I think the investors would also like to know. Yeah, I don't know where their money went. I mean, I'm sure they built out some like I think what Lang Smith or Lang Graph is like their enterprise version. And look, I'm sure that costs millions, but I mean, spin up an AWS box. Like it's not that difficult. Like just get a server, like get some SOC compliance. I mean, and boom, you're an enterprise provider. And I think honestly, I think they're like I said, like they're trying to manage so much. And again, remember, like in the very early days when the LMs first had the APIs available, you had to like request a call to get an API, right? Like there was no documentation. Like they were doing all these different things at one time. And I mean, just last week, right? Like 20 different models came out and like a bunch of stuff came out, right? The industry moves so fast that they kind of just kept shipping the debt and it just kept working. They kept raising millions. So why not, right? But again, like they can fix it. They just have to like really honestly, I would hire an external team. I would hire myself, someone who actually like has experience in the industry with these specific tools. Because like what they're doing is just I mean, like I can't put it into words. Like it's the worst documentation I've ever seen in my entire career. And it's unacceptable to be an organization that has millions of in funding, that has millions in backend logistics of all developers, whatnot. You should be able to easily like it would take you 1 month to fix that at most, and it's been like 5 years.
That's fucking crazy. That's insane. Yeah, I would definitely also hire myself. Thank you, Tuna. But but basically, I think a good pattern for many to follow that's been recommended by like guys like Skylar and I think Jason Liu and stuff like that. Skylar Payne is basically you identify what your business needs and then you just build the framework according to that, like ultra tailored. Another gripe was that LangChain, because they were trying to do everything. Um, Trying to fit every single business use case, it quickly would fall apart through like over abstraction when you got anything bigger than a demo. Honestly, I'm kind of grateful because that meant that there were a lot of bad examples. Sometimes, in order to do something good, you don't need a lot of good examples. You just need to know how like all the bad examples, so like you know what to avoid. So I'm grateful that at the time that I entered the industry, there was plenty of anti examples of things to avoid. But I do think a lot of people they also they see AI as like a magic oracle, and so when it comes time to create their own framework based off of their business needs, they they just don't know where to start and like what to do. And I guess that's where the consultants come into play. Have you experienced this with any of your clients?
Yeah, no, for sure. And you're great at this, man. You actually have a. I'm not trying to glaze you, as the kids say, but you are a very eloquent speaker, and I appreciate you being on the
Thank you, Tuna.
space.
Thank you, Tuna.
But but yeah, no, like 100%, right? Like, and especially like I started my career consulting, right? Quote unquote. It was freelancing, whatever you want to call it. It's the same thing, right? Just whatever you want to call it. But very early on in my career, I no one would hire me, so I was all right. I will literally work for free. I will work for like $20 for a product. I don't care. Like, just get me in the industry, right? And like one of the lessons that was really imprinted on me very early on is like nobody cares about like you can talk about documentation, you can talk about the code, talk about the database, talk about Reddit. It doesn't matter. Like the customer only cares about two things, right? Can you save them money or can you make them money? Like that's really what it boils down to. And yeah, like they'll see some AI stuff and they get pretty excited. Right? Like, hey, I could save, I don't know, like this, I'm just making something up here. I can save 20% by using an AI flow to cut down on my labor for let's say scheduling for my plumbers, right? Or my call setters, whatever sales team, right? That's exciting to them, right? They don't know the nitty gritty and they don't want to know. They just want that shit to work. And that's where someone like you comes in, someone like me comes in and says, hey, what's your problem? Okay, here's how we fix it. Boom. And that's really what it comes down to. It's really it's actually not complicated. Like,
Yeah,
it's just difficult.
I think you have a similar story to Jason Liu. He hosted a fireside chat on Maven for free today around 4 p.m. EST with this guy named Andy Walters and this other guy named Vignesh. They're all consultants, very cool. And Jason was telling a story about how when he was first getting into this AI stuff, he, both he and Andy went through a process where they learned this stuff. It didn't take that long. It took them 2 months of like trial and error and stuff like that. No PhD, no masters, nothing like that, and they both kind of got this impression where it was like, okay, well, I guess most software engineers are going to be learning this, right? Like this is like just the next thing, like TypeScript. That's not the case. In our circles, it might look like it's the case because we hang out with a lot of applied AI engineers, but it's actually not the case. And so what Jason realized was he was pricing himself. The first year he did consulting, he made less than at his previous full-time job because he didn't have the confidence to price himself accordingly. The actual thing that flipped that switch for him, where he was able to triple, quadruple, sextuple his prices, was when he was talking to a client and they were like, yeah, we paid these like we're basically leaking, I think like $22,000 a month. And so Jason, what the work with that he was doing, he was going to patch that hole basically. So this company is losing like $22,000 a month in a thing, and they hire a consultant, Jason, for $180 an hour. Obviously, Jason is getting exploited as hell. He's being based like, okay, he's making $200 an hour. In the context of the hole that he's patching and the value he's providing, he's basically a slave. They're basically not paying him. So when he realized that, he realized he could like make his price like $1,000 an hour, and they'd still pay him that because the hole he was patching was much bigger than the money that he would be getting paid. So that's kind of the flip, the switch that flipped into like going from like hourly based pricing into like value based pricing, outcome based pricing, and having the confidence to actually charge those prices because he actually got the data of what he was going to be saving his client. A lot of the things that he mentions on his thing is like, don't lead with what your outcome will deliver or like what's going to happen if you deliver the thing. Focus the client on what's going to happen if like they don't take your services. If they didn't take Jason's services, what would have happened was they would have kept losing $22,000 a month. And so at that point, paying Jason to do his services to patch that hole, that became a no-brainer. That's how we instantly closed them. That's one thing I learned from that fireside chat today, and it was recorded, but I can't find the recording. But things like that, like when you sit in on these conversations and you figure out how these like transactions actually work and how the people think, it really gives you a different perspective on things. And I'm sure you saw that as well with like when you first started kind of scrounging around versus now you get annoyed when clients hit you up because you're making too much money, etc.
Yeah, that's my biggest problem. I just make too much money, bro.
Way too much money.
No, that's no, I'm not 100%. Everything you're saying, 100% agree with. And I bought Jason's course. I don't remember, not the rag one, the something applied consultant. I can't remember. It was
The
like three
cohort one,
days.
right?
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of people like were asking like, hey, is it worth it? And definitely 100%. The content is very short, but like I said, right, kind of like what you're saying, right? You're not paying for like who cares? I don't care if it's 90 hours. I don't care if it's 9 hours, right? Like when I would buy Udemy courses, like one of the big things they would push is like the hours. I don't care about. Why would I care about the hours? It's so stupid. Anyways, but yeah, no, that was actually really, really good. He has notes and he has the slides and he has the videos that I fortunately due to my work schedule I can't hop on the live things. But just the content alone is definitely the money that I paid. I think I paid like $600. And yeah, definitely gonna be playing a lot. And a lot of that stuff is just really like what I would call like packaging it, right? Because like one of the big issues, and probably one of the biggest issues I see on here is that people have no riz. And it's like,
They have
man,
no
like
riz.
you're talking like a you're talking like a nerd, bro. Like nobody cares about what you're saying. Throw in a meme, throw in like some formatting to your text, and like all of a sudden it's completely different, right? Now, if you go to LinkedIn, like there's a completely different riz there, right? You got to have a different approach. But on X, where I would say X is probably like the highest return on investment time wise to like results wise, you're going to have like 10 times results if you can just apply a little bit of packaging, a little bit of riz.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. A lot of people they see that shit and they're like, "This is so sterile." It doesn't occupy any mind share
Yes.
at all. And the goal is to occupy mind share. And how do you do that? Well, I mean, you want them to be thinking of you, right? Like Jason's not even in the call. Skylar Payne is not even in the call. They got such high riz and such good mind share that they're occupying our conversation right now without even being there. They don't even know about it, bro. But some of the guys in here might check their shit out. That might lead to them getting paid, because it's genuinely helpful. How do you get that mind share? How do you occupy mind share? It is through those memes and stuff like that. If you sterilize all your shit and you just run everything through like GPT, then you will have no riz, you'll occupy no mind share. And that's kind of one of the biggest things that I've learned is that since distribution is everything nowadays, all of these viral hits, they pretty much just go viral first, build up that mind share occupation, and then they actually like, build the thing. It's quite counterintuitive. But when it comes to the whole like applied AI thing, I'm kind of in a weird spot. So you explained why you bought the course. Let me explain why I didn't buy the course. So, we can have a bit of a contrast. So basically, I'm currently in the middle of building my like AI startup, right? Legal Flow. It's a deal execution platform for real estate professionals to help push deals forward. Um, it's basically something that was impossible to build. The thing that I envisioned, it was just impossible to build. Now it's not impossible. It's just really fucking hard, which is the best kind of problem that you want to work on. But the thing is, Tuna, the skills that I've gained from doing this and building this system out have required, me to invent new things and do all this stuff in the field of applied AI that have put me on like the same level as kind of what these other companies are needing. So in the process of building this startup, I've gained the skills technically necessary to become an applied AI consultant. Uh, and when it comes to like Riz and stuff like that, I'm not like super constrained to the engineer role. So, being a founder means a lot of sales, a lot of meetings, a lot of having to raise clients up and stuff like that. So it kind of puts me in the like in the very similar position. But the reason I didn't buy the course is because I haven't committed yet fully to that applied AI consultant thing because that's a whole other job. Next to running a startup, I feel like I can't do both things in parallel, but I can kind of like building the startup kind of feeds the stream of like the applied AI consultancy. And so it's kind of a weird spot that I'm in. And I don't know if anyone else can relate, but it's just been something that I've been thinking a lot about recently. And seeing the thing with like Skylar Payne and Versane and all these other guys and you and Jason Liu, it's all been very, very cool to see. And I just don't know what to make of it yet.
No, 100%. I think like you have a very difficult problem, right? Especially like yeah, like doing both would be and doing both would be insane. And I'm doing both, and it's insane. Like I don't know. I sometimes I ask myself, like, what the fuck am I doing? Like I could probably make more money just like getting a better job and just I don't know. But something about entrepreneurship has always called me. So but yeah, no, so I think your problem is actually very difficult, but it's also easily solvable. What you do, like everything you're doing from now, like anytime you text a group chat, right? Like, hey, I went to this, whatever to speak. I went to this thing. I did this example deal, whatever, this example demo for clients. All that right there is content. And I have a friend or I have a family member who is a professional athlete who's somewhat popular, and one of the things that I really try to impart on them is like people just want content. And just because it's simple or easy for you doesn't mean that it's going to be simple or easy or interesting even for someone else. And like I try to get them so hard to get like training, like maybe talking about diet or maybe talking about like a specific fight or something like that, right? All that stuff is incredibly valuable, like, and people don't understand for some reason. So I think your problem, the way you solve it is very simple. You either hire someone or you bring someone on as like an intern, quote unquote, and you make them a, I don't know, consultant, whatever. I'm not consultant, content with a W, content engineer, and you just have them make anything you do, just send it to them. It'll be rough at first, but eventually you'll get a pipeline, and you say, hey, your job is just to make me articles. Your job is just to make me TikTok videos. And all that stuff you're doing right now is, I'm telling you, it's worth gold. And like it's really hard to get into that mindset. And I think Jason talks about that a lot, but in the course, but I had this a bit myself. Whenever I, whenever I would write these articles would do like insane numbers. And I would be like, man, like this is not like this is actually not very complicated. Like I'm just applying what I've learned. But one of the things that I'm ranting here, so maybe cut me off. But I've been doing martial arts for close to a decade. And one of the things that is so incredibly difficult for people to understand is like it's so like when someone's a black belt, trying to get them to explain why they're doing it, how they do it, they can't because they've been doing it for so long. They don't even they're an unconscious expert, right? Whereas someone in the middle, they're much more able to explain to someone who's like a very bare beginner because they still relate to know like, hey, I know exactly what the issues are going to be. It's going to be like you're not moving your body like this, and it's going to feel awkward. So you got to do this, right? And all those little things. And I think people don't really understand or
I think
respect
I
that. Like
understand what you mean. Yeah, like
yeah, like it's even if it's simple, it's still valuable to someone who's a beginner or who's in a different aspect or a different avenue. Like I have somebody like I have a lot of friends in the tech industry, right? But because of my previous roles, jobs, what do you want to call them, I worked with a lot of blue collar guys, and like it's like the blue collar guys are not stupid. Like they're just busy and they're working on other shit. Like if I told you to fix like a faucet that was leaking, like could you do it? Maybe, but like doesn't mean you're stupid or not. Like it's just a different avenue of intelligence. So yeah, so just everything you're doing is content, and you should be recording it, playing it, YouTube, all that stuff.
I need to grift harder.
Easy.
I need to grift harder.
That's what a lot of life comes down to, bro. You gotta
Yeah.
get harder.
So basically,
And I'll get started.
if I don't have a million in my account by 25, I need you to use your black belt skills to just jump me. Just jump me, bro. Just kill me in
Yeah.
the streets. But what you said about
No,
like
but
the black belts not being able to explain things, I think it's because the perspective changes by so much. You can kind of imagine like as a kid, when like an adult like snaps at you or whatever, you might be like, when I'm an adult, I'm not gonna treat my kids that way. And then you kind of grow up, and then like you had a long day, blah blah blah. Your kids said some dumbass shit, and you snap at them just the same way as an adult snapped at you back 20 years ago. You've kind of lost that perspective, and it can be hard for you to take the perspective of that child or of that white belt or brown belt or whatever. And I feel like that pattern can generalize across so many examples. We got martial arts, we got parenthood, we have career wise stuff. Like a senior engineer might not understand the kind of perspective that a junior might have, which is why a junior engineer can bring on new perspectives and unearth new questions that the senior might not have ever thought of. Which is, I think that's kind of what you're getting at. And you know what? I think that's a very valid point, because the things that look obvious to me are like not obvious to like some other people, and I would never know that because I'm only seeing it from my bubble. So I think that's a very good thing. Now, the real question I have for you, bro, is instead of hiring an agent, I mean, an intern. Can I get a tiny agent to be my content engineer? That would be really cool.
this whole space has been a sales call. Like you don't even
Yeah.
realize it, bro. That's how hard I grip, bro. Like I just genjutsu your ass. Like no. So like definitely, like for sure. And I think really like the first thing you have to do is set up a pipeline. I'm using pipeline libers like here. Yeah, basically mean like you should have a repo, quote unquote, to push all your content to, whether it's an article you write, whether it's a video or a speech you gave, all that stuff. Jesus Christ, 1 second. All that stuff should be pushed to a repo, and you should just be pushing everything to it. And hey, take this content, make a plan for it. And a lot of people are against the AI writing, and I am as well. I don't use it to build the initial draft, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it to increase like the readability or like spelling mistakes or like maybe something
I
that comes
agree.
off awkward that you can't see, as long as you're not
I
like
agree.
100% reliant on it, because everyone can tell, right? There's an uncanny valley feeling
You
almost
can
when you
tell.
read
You can
it.
definitely tell. 100%.
Yeah, so like as long as you're not like 100% AIing it, I think you're good. And you'd be surprised. Like people think that a lot of the content they're reading is not AI generated because it doesn't have the dashes or it doesn't have like the words. But like, man, you'll be surprised. Like so much of the written content, I would say probably like more than 50% of it is AI written, like for sure, 100%. So articles, videos, all that stuff, you should have a central repository for all that stuff.
Yeah, honestly, like the thing is with AI content is the the alpha, the high alpha that people want to read that's actually valuable is coming from my brain, not the AI's brain. So I think the most effective way for most people actually, like let's say you want to write an article or you wanted to take some learnings that you had and spin it up into a different form of like content. What you could do is set up voice mode and then just constant stream of consciousness of what's in your brain, get all that unstructured shit out of your brain and onto the page. And then you can just use AI to structure that. That way, it's like the high value stuff is coming from you, but it's just being made more digestible by AI. And I think honestly, that's acceptable. But at the same time, like don't make your content super sterile at the same time. Have a little humanity in your writing. Let people know that you were actually typing when they read the content. But yeah, I think like that layers on top of the actual content being high value, being novel to them. And yeah, I think that's a good strategy for us to take. A lot of people could kind of benefit from that because distribution is everything. So you do need to be grifting harder, all of us.
Brother. Speaking of Jason's course, he dropped this thing where that's basically what he does. Like any call he has with a client or whatever, he'll basically record it with Circleback AI, which is actually pretty good. I've been using it myself recently. It's actually really, really good. And what I was doing before, like when I was doing the career coaching calls, is I would record myself and the person speaking, and then I would throw Gemini AI and like structure. But Circleback AI is just nicer, a little bit more formatted. But yeah, 100%. Like once you have that voice note, throw it in Circleback, throw it in AI Studio, and just throw it in a repository, and then just chat with it, man. Like you'd be surprised how much you can. Like, and like I can just go back and be like, hey, like remember that one time we talked about blah blah, blah, right? And the agent, just in cursor, you can find it. Like it's actually really valuable, and I really recommend that you do it so you can grift 24/7.
Dude, I have a story about Circleback.
Hit me.
Okay, so basically, I linked up with like one of the founders. If you look at the founders of Circleback and you like just look that shit up, you'll find it was founded by two people. There weren't actually two people. There were three. And I did a gig for the co-founder that you won't see online, and there was quite an interesting story behind the development of Circleback. It basically boils down to them being at the top of their batch in the accelerator that they were in. But when time came for investment to actually flow in order for you to actually accept investment, you have to do a bunch of things like formalizing the company, incorporating, and mainly setting up uh, leadership roles. Who's going to be CEO, CTO, CFO, etc. What happened was there was a bit of discontent between the founders as to who was going to be the CEO. Normally, a CEO is always on calls. He's always talking to people. He's the face of the brand, or she. They're the face of the brand. And so naturally, it made sense for this one guy that that was telling the story to me to be the CEO. It fell apart, and it ended up with him leaving the company to start his own venture. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see that Circleback is still being used and that it's genuinely useful. But yeah, that was just an interesting story that I came to know of last year, back in May of 2024. Um, yeah, if you guys are going to use co-founders, then pick your co-founders carefully because a lot can hinge on how they handle tough situations and if they can leave the ego at the door and stuff like that. But yeah, use Circleback, use all these tools, use AI to gain as much of an advantage as you can in today's world. Because yeah, you do need to grift shamelessly. And by grifting, we don't mean lying to people, we don't mean scamming, we just mean promoting yourself and getting paid what you deserve for the value that you bring to the table. because ultimately everybody deserves to eat. But a lot of people in the tech industry undersell themselves because they suffer from this delusion of, hey, this stuff is like super basic to me, therefore it's not that valuable. That's not the case. I sometimes think that about my own work. And it's important to step outside of your bubble and realize how valuable that your work is and how you can benefit other people by a lot, save them a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of headache by actually, promoting yourself so that you can do work with them. And that's what we mean by grifting. So grift shamelessly, and always, yeah, always just, show up, and like those
Always
guys
be
at
grifting.
Circleback, always be grifting, always be grifting, always be using tinyAgent, and yeah, use everything at your disposal.
That's not what I mean. I do mean lie. I do mean steal. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, yeah, grifting didn't. And look, people like they kept taking the message wrong. Obviously, that's what I meant, and I thought it was common sense. But at this point, like, I'm not going to bother explaining anymore because people are just silly. So that's what I mean. Yeah, just promote yourself, right? But no, that's a really interesting story you said about Circleback, and I love all these SF, Y Combinator drama stories. I'm
So
just like a woman,
spicy,
bro. Like
so
I
spicy,
love that shit, bro. I
so
love
much
that little
gossip,
secret
dude.
shit, bro. Tell me, bro. Tell me. And like, no, that's so true, man. And like I've experienced that myself quite a bit. There was two different scenarios where that happened, a similar situation. And now I just make everyone sign like a contract. It's like a very basic contract. Like I'm not a big company, right? I just have a little LLC, but I give everyone a document. I'm like, look, man, so there is no misunderstanding. Here's what I'm gonna pay you. Here's what I expect, and here's like the basic outline of what our professional quote unquote relationship is gonna be, right? And a lot of people find that awkward. I don't. I'm just like, bro, like let's just get a piece of like legal
These guys
documentation that
were
says, hey,
they were friends from childhood. They were childhood friends. That's why they
ah,
skipped the formality, which is why you got to be very careful when
yep.
you're mixing family and business, because in business things can sour very quickly. And if you have family attached to that, it just messes things up by so much, and so many strings get attached at that point. But yeah, guys, just draft a contract, make them sign the contract, and that will prevent a lot of headache for you guys in the future.
1,000%. And like it's a little awkward at first for sure, but like once you start getting the habit of like, hey, like before like we exchange any money or anything, like, let's just sign this, make sure you read it, make sure you don't have any questions or anything. You want to change anything, let me know. And it's like really simple. And like you'll pay a one-time cost for an attorney to, I mean, you could probably do it with ChatGPT, honestly. You probably shouldn't, but you could. And it's like a one-time cost. And eventually, like if you start doing a lot of business, you can have someone who you work with on a consistent basis. It'll be easier. But yeah, no, 1,000%. And like, yeah, that story it's so common, man. Like it happens all the time. And a lot of people don't talk about it, but it's a very common thing in the industry. Like people, when money gets involved, people get retarded. So yeah, keep that in mind.
I agree. I also have found the recording to that fireside chat. If you want it, I can share it in the thing attached to this space.
Yeah, drop it in the comments. I'll check it out. It's very interesting what Maven is doing. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah,
ESL, don't be racist. But yeah, no, it's very interesting what they're doing, and I really wish that I could hop on there, man. I could just like do a course myself just for free, even because I think it's a really interesting platform. But unfortunately, you have to be doxxed, so I can't. Yeah,
damn,
they don't want the anime profile pictures,
that
which honestly
sucks.
that they should. And like my biggest mistake was going to anime profile picture. I genuinely regret it now. But yeah, no, like what they're doing is very interesting. It's very because like you would think like the market is kind of like saturated, right? You got like Udacity, Udemy, you get a bunch of these courses, right? And like none of them have really made money, but this one outlier here is killing it from what I hear.
Yeah, honestly, I don't pay attention to any of the other platforms. I just go to where my best creators are. So like Jason is here, Andy is here. So I'm gonna go to Maven. Skylar Payne is gonna be there. I'm gonna go to Maven. It doesn't matter what these other guys do. I'm just gonna go to where they go. But I pasted the link in the tweet under this thing. And you know what? I remember back when I first like face doxed, I think I was at like 200 followers. It didn't matter because like nobody really followed me. But then there was like this discourse on how like you should never face docs, you should always be anonymous, blah blah blah, because you can publish hot takes. And I was like, damn, did I make a mistake? Am I gonna have to censor myself now? But I mean, I realize now that wasn't a mistake because number one, all my opinions are not really things that need to be censored. And two, when you attach a face to an actual profile, then it brings more meaning behind their words because they're not like hiding behind a profile picture. So you can really say what you mean and say it with your chest. And this also means like when you publish good alpha and highly valuable content, then people just associate it with you. Also, I went to Waterloo Symposium for an event like a few weeks ago, and some people were saying they recognized me off of Twitter, which is crazy. Um, yeah, hopefully that doesn't end up in any bad situation. You know, if people run up on me, hopefully it's to throw money at me, but oh well.
I think it'll be good. Yeah, man. I really regret it. And like one of the big things, like basically what you're saying, right? Like really hard tying like your alpha, quote unquote, to your real personality. Cause like I also do some stuff on LinkedIn and like I got no pull there, right? Whereas on X, like if I drop an article, I'm gonna get at least like 4 or 5 thousand views and maybe even more. Like my best have done like 250,000. And on LinkedIn, like there's just nothing,
I
right?
didn't
And
even
it
think of
sucks
that.
because
Yeah.
yeah, and like what really sucks, right? And like, and this is really my fault though, but like what sucks is like sometimes I argue with these idiot kids on Teapot, and I'm like, bro, like my infrastructure, my code literally supports thousands and hundreds of people in a real organization, like doing shit that actually matters. Like, why the like you? We're not even the same level. Don't even look at me. Look, don't turn around, right? Like I want to talk, and these kids like they got their Vim config and they got their little whatever, and like, bro, you never fucking coded for money. What the fuck are you talking about? Right?
Yeah.
I get so mad, bro. I'm like, bro, like you don't even know me. Like, anyways, but yeah, that was my biggest mistake, man. Like I really regret it, and yeah, like it's cool on Teapot on X, but like no like Maven, right? There's no way they're gonna want to be associated. Why would they? That's weird.
Yeah, I think the greatest
So yeah,
advantage
biggest mistake in my life.
of doxing yourself is basically your reputation can carry over to any platform, and it can carry over to real life too, because your face is everywhere. Um, but you know, it takes years to build up a reputation, and like just a few minutes to bring it all down if you like if the wrong things happen or whatever. Um, but yeah, I think it's definitely interesting because the discourse has changed quite a lot. Um, and yeah, I'm excited to see all these new people that are going to be coming up in this industry, and I'm excited to see it all. Kind of scared, but you know, excited at the same time.
Yeah, man, same. It's a very interesting spot in this industry history, quote unquote. And like, yeah, it's very exciting. It's very scary, like you're saying. Like I'll probably talk about this a little bit more tomorrow. I gotta wrap this up. So I appreciate you, by the way. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Um, and one of the like it's very scary, man. Like, I can't imagine being like someone who's graduating with a CS degree and like they're going into the industry market for the first time. Like they're going up against this. Like we're hiring for don't DM me, please. Goddamn, like I already have enough beggars in LinkedIn, but we have this one position. It's like it's a junior position. The pay is shit. Like it's just shit. Like I'm not gonna lie, it's a shitty position, right? But it's a junior role, whatever, right? We had over like we usually have about 5,000, 10,000 applications, right? We had over 15,000. And I would say the top like 20-ish resumes that got picked, they all had master's degrees in computer science. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and like part of the problem is so saturated. Part of the problem is obviously AI, but there's just a bunch of different factors going on. But at the same time, like what we were just talking about, right? Like the 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 person who made the app, right? Like and the CNC thing, and they got an offer, like right. That type of stuff would not be happening a few years ago. So very interesting, a very spooky time. But I think as long as you lock in, you'll be fine.
And you got to grift hard,
Grift
and you'll
hard,
be
always
fine.
be
But
grifting.
yeah, thank you for hosting this talk, Tuna. It was very insightful.
No, man, thank you. We'll have to chop it up sometime. I'd be interested
Hell
to hear about
yeah.
your background. All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you,
I'll
everybody.
catch you
See
later.
you guys.